What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, checking out some brand new World Legacy storyline cards that just got revealed in Dark Neostorm. I thought that Savage Strike was the end of the World Legacy storyline, but nope, Konami's like, we ain't never ending this story, Cap G. These are really interesting cards because all of these cards revolve around level 9, and they kind of remind me very much of True Kings. There's a lot of natural synergy with True Kings, especially because of Diagram. I saw Lithium's video, he was playing them in True King Dinosaurs, and that seems to be kind of like the best route with these cards. Now, it's interesting enough because they're all like individually pretty strong cards as well, especially the first one that honestly, had they released this card in Code of the Duelist, I think the Vrains era could have been completely different. So let's go ahead and talk about the first card. This is Astro Nightmare Idli. So I believe since it's a nightmare monster, this means that you can actually summon it from, you should be able to summon it from Nightmare Mermaid, if I'm not mistaken. If I am mistaken, just correct me in the comment section, but I believe that you can summon this card from Nightmare Mermaid. It's a level 9 Dark Fairy monster, which as soon as I see that, I kind of think of like Dark Lords. 2100 attack, 2100 defense. The first and second effects are both hard once per turns. The first effect is really cool, right? So it says, if the total link rating of link monsters on the field is 8 or higher, and this is a quick effect, it says you can special summon this card from your hand. So that's not bad. It means that if your opponent starts link spamming, you can put this card on the field, which at first you'd be like, well, Cap, why would I want to do that? But the second effect kind of covers that. The second effect says if this card is special summoned and your opponent controls more link monsters than you do, send all link monsters on the field to the graveyard, which is crazy. So basically, it just nukes all the link monsters and it doesn't target. It doesn't care about nightmare protection from like destruction. That is amazing. Just think about this, guys. Imagine if we would have had this in like, I don't know, Extreme Force, like all the extra linking that we had to deal with. Imagine if your opponent got like 3 link monsters on the field and you just drop this from the hand and you nuke their entire like link board at that point. Like your opponent would have probably lost the duel. It's so ironic that Konami gives us this card after they ban things like Nightmare Goblin and Firewall Dragon. Like they hit the most problematic link monsters in the game and then they give us a card that's basically like a hard counter to the extra link and link spamming. I'm not sure how effective this card will be moving forward because right now I don't think it's cost efficient to even go for the extra link. Like it's way more effective to just try to Gumblar your opponents, or if you're playing like a warrior variant to, you know, try to go for like 86. It's really not like efficient right now to go for an extra link because it's just no point. Like you spend every single resource that you have and you aren't getting extra links that were anywhere near as strong pre-Firewall Dragon. But the third effect says level 9 monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects, which is actually pretty good. You know, it stops your opponent from using things like Nightmare Cerberus. On the other hand, it would technically stop you from targeting these guys with Diagram and blowing them up. I'll talk about why that's important in a second, but overall that effect is obviously good, and this seems like a really good card. If the game gets sped up, like, you know, we get an archetype in the next set after Dark Neostorm that can super link spam really fast, like a World Chalice type deal, this will be a card that definitely sees play, because again, going second, summoning this card when your opponent has 3 big link monsters on the field and them not being able to do anything about it is pretty crazy. And I believe again that you should be able to summon this from Nightmare Mermaid and still be able to activate the effect, which is pretty cool as well. Now the next one is World Legacy Guard Dragon Mellow Dark. It's a level 9 Wind Dragon. This is 2600 attack and 3000 defense. So the stat line on this thing is basically Dragon Ruler level. This says the first and the third effects are hard once per turn. First effect says you can banish 2 normal monsters from your hand or graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand. Holy shit, this is a fucking Dragon Ruler. It special summons from the hand just by banishing a couple of normal monsters from your graveyard. Seems pretty damn good. Second effect says if your opponent monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense for each dragon monster you control. Okay, guard dragons like to have big dragon boards, so that can be definitely pretty good. At the minimum, your opponent's monsters should lose 500 attack and defense just because this card is on the field. And then the third effect says if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add 1 level 9 monster with a different original attribute and type from this card from your graveyard to your hand. This is why I say that these things kind of feel like they're True King support indirectly because, you know, If you have this card on the field and I don't know, maybe it's being locked down by like a Phantom Knights of Fogblade, you could blow it up by Diagram and then it floats into another level 9 monster that's in your graveyard, just not like another copy of itself. This card seems incredibly strong, and again, I think you will see all of these cards used in True King variants because they're all level 9, they all can technically float in some form, they all work really well with Diagram, and this one has amazing stats as well. Next up is a big ass crawler monster. This is Deus Ex Crawler. Somebody actually just sent me a duel with this card. I gotta go watch that duel because a lot of times on YGO Pro when they first put these cards on there, they be bugged as hell. This is a level 9 Earth Insect monster, 2000 attack, and it's a flip effect as well. It has 3000 defense, which is expected because it's a crawler support card, and flip monsters generally have higher defense than attack. The third effect is a hard once per turn. First effect says when an opponent's card or effect is activated that targets this face down card, it's a quick effect. You can change this card to face up defense position, negate that activation, and if you do, destroy it. So this card essentially has protection for itself. I believe it was like Big Shield Gardner that was very similar to this. You couldn't like use Nobleman or Cross Out on it back in the day because it would flip itself face up and just negate the card. It's interesting because like it seems like an effect that you can basically only use once, because once you flip it face up, your opponent's never going to target it again, even if you do flip it face down. But fair enough, seems like a pretty good effect because it's just free negation. The second effect actually works with the first one directly. It says if this card will flip face up, negate all activated monster effects your opponent controls. That's really good. Okay, gotta reshoot this part of the video because I actually watched that duel. Curiosity got the better of me while I was editing this video, and I learned a couple of things about this Deus Ex Crawler that I didn't know. Number one, I figured out how the hell you're supposed to actually get this thing on the field, because that was my number one concern. I was like, well, the field spell for crawlers can't summon it because it's not level 2, so are you supposed to like tribute set it, or what exactly are you supposed to do? So what he did was he used World Legacy's Communion. That's the card that turns your opponent's monster effects into bouncing one of your crawlers. At that point, your crawler monsters will float, they'll trigger, and they'll summon different crawler monsters straight from your deck. So you can summon this card straight from your deck, and it basically will be set face down. So that's a way of getting it on the field straight from your deck. Number two, what I did not know about this second effect, and I had to go ahead and correct myself, this does not just negate effects on your opponent's side of the field. This negates effects that are in the hand, in the graveyard. It basically negates everything. This thing is like a fucking walking Inspector Border or something like that. As long as this card remains face up on the field, or at least that's how it works right now on YGO Pro. Again, maybe the card is bugged or something, but on YGO Pro, when his opponent tried to activate effects in the hand or in the graveyard, none of the effects would actually trigger. So if this card is an Inspector Border type card, that is utterly ridiculous, because now you're talking about your opponent not being able to use monster effects, and this thing has 3000 defense. It's pretty flippin' difficult to run over. This card literally took the entire duel over. When it comes to the third effect, it says if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add one level 9 monster with an original, or excuse me, with a different original attribute and type from this card from your deck to your hand. In crawlers, there's almost no chance that I think that you'll resolve this effect. If you are playing like a True King variant, then I think that you can resolve this effect very easily. This card was a lot better in crawlers than I actually imagined, because I wasn't sure how they were going to be able to get it on the field, but through the World Legacy Communion, you can get this card on the field, and honestly, if you get it face up, it can take over games. This is why I do not do live reactions, because I had to go back and actually watch the duel and see it for myself, and yeah, I was thoroughly impressed. I was like, holy shit, this card was ridiculous. In fact, I'll upload that duel very soon so you guys can see the duel that I'm talking about. And finally is our last card, which I don't know, maybe is how Konami wants us to get these guys on the field in their own archetypes. I don't know if I really see that. I think that it'll work better if you just combine them all in their own kind of variant with like True Kings and stuff like that. This is World Legacy's Burgeoning, which I probably mispronounced that word, but forgive me. It's a quick play spell, which is kind of nice. It's a hard once per turn on this card. You get to activate one of these effects. So either you can special summon one level 9 monster from your hand, which is all the 3 monsters that we just covered, or the much better effect in my opinion, target one level 9 monster you control, special summon 2 level 9 monsters with different names with original type and attribute different from the targets from your deck, but they cannot attack. Also, they are destroyed, during the end phase. So this card can also summon True King monsters as well, right? Like that's pretty damn cool. This is why I'm saying like this has so much support, or so much synergy is the word I'm looking for, with True Kings, because not only are all these monsters like just floaters when they're destroyed by card effects, but being able to just, you know, summon additional, like, or being able to use them with True Kings. Like, keep in mind, you can summon these World Legacy cards if you have a True King on the field, and obviously that makes, you know, dropping a card like True King of All Calamities significantly easier, which is always good, because that's a card that basically locks your opponent out of 2 straight turns and makes it so that they can't really do anything. They can't activate any effects. So these are all very interesting cards. I mean, I really like the Wind Dragon one. I really like the World Legacy Guard Dragon Melodark, just because banishing 2 normal monsters, like there are some decks like World Chalice that still run, you know, Blue Eyes White Dragon. That's a deck that still runs like normal monsters, so you could see those decks actually use this card, and it's kind of just like a big ass dragon ruler. Also, you know, debuffs your opponent's monsters. Seems very legitimate. I need to go watch that Crawler duel and see exactly how this guy was dropping the Deus Ex Crawler on the field, because again, it seems like a really solid card if you can get it online. I just don't know how you're actually supposed to summon it in Crawlers reliably. It doesn't really seem like they have a lot of good ways or something like that. But whatever you guys think of these cards, let me know in the comment section below. The only card I think that can probably be used in a vacuum, I'm talking about like splashable and other, or just like any random decks, is probably the Nightmare Idly, because not only can you use it sort of as a hand trap against like Link spam, again, if we get a future Turbo Link deck that is too fast, then this can be used, but also you can summon it from your deck with Nightmare Mermaid, and that's obviously pretty good as well. So thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, turn on that notification bell for daily video, and check out these other videos I know you enjoy.